This Your Generation, Deon Prize, Life of a Youth Worker. This episode focuses on the issue of respect in relations to a grown child and their parents. We have a few high profile examples of what happens when a parent is disrespected by their child, their grown child for that matter. We have an incident that occurred between a gospel superstar Kirk Franklin and his son. I will punch your neck, nigga, if you ever disrespect me. We had an incident or issue with R&B singer Brian McKnight and his sons.
My two sons are 30 and 27. BJ broke into our home a few months ago, and he put X's on the eyes of our wedding photos. None of this has anything to do with money. It's about respect. Respect goes both ways, and even in family, there's a line that shouldn't and should not ever be crossed.
Just high-profile examples. But there's something that happens to a father, particularly when he feels disrespected by his grown kid. And that disrespect cuts deep, and we respond. Now, you know, anybody with a grown child, you know damn well or darn well, can nobody bring the gangster out of you quicker than your grown child is disrespecting you. You will go there quickly. Even one of my grown ones brought it out in me. I had a grown child hang up in my face on a phone that I'm paying for. My plan. Did he really? Yeah. Threw me back. Did he just hang up in my face on a phone that I'm paying for? You know you will go there. You will go there. You will want to put hands on him. So it is understandable when you feel disrespected. Let's not beat these people up because we're all human. I bet you there are many parents that have cussed out one of their grown kids or at least felt like cussing them out or have done so.
Well, you can ask my children, has your mama ever used some words? You goddamn right. You goddamn right. I might add a couple motherfuckers in there. I like it. I might add a couple you raggedy ass. But it's what I'm saying the truth.
They go there, and we need to know, what do we do to maintain that level of respect as parents? And what have we done to prevent them from maintaining that respect? How do you maintain that? And how do you check them without choking the hell out of them? How do you check them without catching a case? How do you maintain your respect to your grown children, especially when you're still providing for them? Some of them are still living in our house. I know parents who are struggling with their grown kids and they're still providing their housing, food, transportation, everything under the sun. But the child who cannot provide for themselves are quickly to play that grown card when you try to tell them to do something basic. Oh, I'm grown. Really? If you were grown, you'd be on your own. Let me show you what grown is, right? You're not really grown unless you can provide for yourself, the bare necessities. We've said that many times. So when they cross the line of disrespect, it affects you. It triggers you. And it's very triggering to be disrespected anyway, particularly by your child, and even more particularly, a child that you have been providing for. There seemed to be a sense of ungratefulness, entitlement, and disrespect, lack of appreciation and disrespect. What is going on? What happened to a generation that is comfortable disrespecting their parents these days? I saw and heard something very disturbing this week in social media. A parent, actually a father and son, who got into a confrontation over weapons in the house, end up in a flat-out shootout.
New at 6 tonight, a Coweta County father tells deputies he confronted his son about having a gun in his pocket. And he says rather than turn it over, his son opened fire on him.
Shooting at each other in the front of the man's home. Apparently he shared or whatever with his son. A father and a son literally shooting at each other. This was very disturbing. So it speaks to the question of what is really going on. What happens that energy, that lack of respect, what they think is okay. We should have learned that in the 70s. Fred Sanford taught us about respect.
Excuse me, I'll go in and help him. Yeah.
disrespectful to his father, isn't he? He's very disrespectful.
Why don't you just go to bed?
If I ain't sleeping, why don't you go to bed?
All right, then why don't you sit here and be quiet and stop making a clown out of yourself, and you might learn something.
The way you talk to your father is deplorable. You must respect your father, for he is full of years and wisdom. You must not forget who is the parent and who is the child.
Listen to it, dummy. Go ahead, honey.
There's something about respect, very disrespectful. There's something that we can do, and what are we doing to maintain that respect? Are we disrespectful as parents, or is it the child or the grown person that has developed a sense of entitlement? And what do we do when they cross that line? How do we get that respect back? Do we just cut them off? Are we a bad parent there? In Brian McKnight's situation, that line was crossed and he cut them off. These were grown men.
When I put them out of my house, I gave them an apartment for 2 years. And I said, guys, this is it. This is the time to grow up. I'm giving you 2 years. I'm going to pay for everything for 2 years, but you're going to have to work or do something, because at the end of those 2 years, that's going to be it. It's time to be men here, guys. It's time to grow up. At the end of those 2 years, they hadn't done any of it. I would tell you as parents out there, entitling your children is probably one of the worst things you can do, and I know I am guilty of that.
In Brian McKnight's example, I concur. These are grown men. Once my kid hit 18, once a child hits 18, technically you're done. Everything else after that point is extra. Now, the reality of it is not too many 18-year-olds who have reached the adult legal age or 21 are really in position to provide for themselves, so they still will continue to need the support of their parents. But when that support that you're giving them turns in a sense of entitlement, and they don't reciprocate that with respect and realize that they need to give you a measure of respect, number one, because you're their parent, number two, because you're an adult in general, and number three, because you're providing for their very needs. How dare you? What happens to a child when that is lost, and how is that lost? Where's the disconnect there? What makes it okay for these children or these young adults to the point where they feel comfortable blatantly disrespecting the parents that has provided for them since day one? What is that? Why is that happening? The scripture can break it down. We always add a little scripture. Leviticus 19:3, each child should respect his mother and father. Respect is a deep principle. That's in Leviticus 19:3. Scripture even breaks down the value of respect. It also gets deep into how respect is needed and expected for the man. Now, it gets even more troubling when that disrespect of the parent is respect toward the man. Now, we get into the respect that a man needs, and even more particularly a Black male. Why? Because Black men in general, at least in America, is one of the most disrespected individuals in all of creation. He's not respected in the streets. He's not respected in the community. He's not respected in the corporate world. Black men catch hell from all aspects of life, right? The value of life of a Black man is probably lower than any life form at least in the United States and the Western civilization, right? So all we have is respect. And the only environment that you can get that respect in is the only environment you can control, which is your home. If you don't get that respect in your home, then you have it nowhere else in the world. Because once you leave the house, no matter how prestigious, no matter how educated you are, there's going to be a level of disrespect. You're not going to be respected like your peers. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States or the man in the house, you're not going to get the respect that you deserve. It's just not going to happen. So respect is something that we hold very dearly. We protect with our life, our image, we protect it and we value it, and we will fight, kill, and die for that respect. Black men, respect is huge. So when your child disrespects you, or your wife or your woman disrespect, or you disrespect in your home, that is the lowest blow you can hit a Black man, is to disrespect him in his tightest environment, in his own environment. And Black men are not even respected in the home. There's this growing joke that man ain't wearing the pants in their household. And women think that that's a growing cute. There's nothing cute about that. Maybe that's why the children are seeing it's okay to disrespect this man. So when I heard Kirk Franklin go off like that. And you can imagine.
Before I put my foot in your ass, because I dare you. I dare you.
I'm sure he did not have that phone up to his ear when he was going off on that kid like that. He was probably looking at that, looking at him like this. Because that's how I felt. When my kid, my grown kid, hung up in my face on a phone that I'm paying for, I was like this. Did you just, you went there. This is a conversation we need to have. We need to have proactive, not reactive conversations with our children, our young adults, letting them know what the boundaries are, where the levels of respect are, and so they can proactively know that if here's where we are, here's where our boundaries meet. If you cross this, then this is going to happen. This is not acceptable. This is acceptable. This is acceptable. This is not. We need to let them know up front, proactively. Let's not wait until something happens and say, how dare you? Let's start having these conversations right now. And it goes both ways. So just because you are the parent or you're the father, or you're the mother, remember, you're talking to a grown individual and they too deserve a measure of respect. Now, I've been training and being conscious of myself that I can't talk to my 16-year-old the same way that I'm talking to my 23 or my 27 or 30-year-old. These are grown people, so I'm going to give them a measure of respect. Hey, if they need to do something, I'm going to continue to be that father. I'm never going to stop being the teacher and the provider and the mentor. That's never going to be shut off, but I'm going to deliver that message with a measure of respect and customize it to be delivered to a grown individual so it doesn't come off patronizing or disrespectful. So when I tell my son, hey, you didn't handle your business, 16-year-old, I'll say, hey, Amir, you need to handle your business. You ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. If you don't do this, there's no this and no that. You can't say that to a grown man. So my language have changed. So I was telling my 23-year-old when I did live with them, because thankfully now they're on their own. But when we did share a home together, I would say, hey, son, listen, I need your help here. I can't come home from work. I need you to take care of these dishes. I need you to take care of this car. Just help me out. Be respectful. Handle your business there, all right? I need your help. That's an approach. And I usually start getting a better response than coming at him like this. You know, he's not a child. So naturally, he feels disrespected. So he's going to respond with what? With tension. And you're going to have this, right? So let's not let our egos as parents and fathers cause us to lose our measure of respect that we need to give as well. It's how we deliver it. So I think it goes both ways. So although I understand how contentious that conversation was, the high profile examples I gave you, because I've been there myself, but I also understand there has to be a whole lot of escalating for it to get to that level. We know just what to say to piss somebody off. At some point, one of us needs to start to de-escalate the situation, say things to bring the situation down, attack the problem, not the person. When you feel your child or the grown adult going off the rack, say, hold on now, let's take a break because you crossing the line, being a little disrespectful. Let's cool down a little bit. Let's reset. Let's reconvene. Let's have this conversation when we've cooled down a little bit because you didn't cross the line. Technically, you don't need to say this, but you about to piss me off, and one more word gonna get you sitting through the roof. So instead of saying that, say, hey, we need to take a break because this is getting out of control. You know, language is getting a little hot. We need to calm down a little bit. And maybe we can talk to each other with a little bit more respect. Most people will respond to that, right? So there's things that we can do as parents to maintain healthy relationships with our children, particularly our adult children. So, and there's things that these young people need to do to understand where they need to maintain their respect, the principle of respect, but they need to be taught the boundaries or to be shown what those boundaries are. Just a thought, just a message. This youth generation, Deon Price, just a humble servant trying to make a difference.